What's up, everybody? My name is Jaycon. I'm here with Zev, Kai, and Andy, and we will be breaking down and going in depth about NRG and G2. Now, just kick things off, I do want to say one thing about G2, and that is the word Trent. If Trent has 100 fans, I am one of them. If Trent has 10 fans, I am one of them. If Trent has one fan, I am him. If Trent has no fans, I'm dead. G2 out, baby.
That was a great way of starting off this episode.
110% bias. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about G2 and how amazing that they've been doing. And we're also going to talk about how, lackluster NRG has been. So I think we open up with G2 here. I did not expect them to be this perfect. I mean, the macros in this game were insane. In the previous Pick'ems video, I had mentioned that they really only had lost rounds because either of like some snowballiness of the game, or because the other team or Cloud9 specifically had gotten like a lot of lucky clutches throughout their series. So I think G2 are an incredible team. I mean, they got like the missing piece of the Infinity Gauntlet, and yeah, this roster is looking pretty insane.
I just was so like we kind of talked about Taeho, like certain players playing Taeho really well, with like Kawanzin being like one of the best ones until Trent played it. I think Trent is like maybe it's just because of the team macros that they like come up with, like with where they're gonna place what that on Abyss or wait. No, on Lotus, it was like really good. He had so much impact with his utility, which we didn't see at the beginning of the week with anyone really, with Taeho, until we saw like Kawanzin, and now like Trent just killing it with it. Jajimo, insane. I think we all like Jajimo just playing Yoru and getting that many kills, that many first kills was just so sick.
Yeah.
Like this team's like really, really good.
Yeah, we haven't even seen I don't think we've seen G2 like even close to their peak yet. The fact that Jagmo's on Yoru and not Raze on Lotus of all maps too, it's scary like how much more improvement they can do despite already looking like a perfect team from top to bottom, right? So yeah.
And I think one of the main things of comfortability that Jaw kind of has filled was they didn't exactly change anything crazy compared to last year. If you look at their Abyss, they were running Yoru on Abyss. Like the main change up this time was the chamber pick, which I loved. I absolutely loved Leaf on the chamber. I thought he had so much impact on that map. But in terms of how G2 played Abyss versus this year versus last year, it was almost exactly the same. They ran some very similar plays that they did with Icy. The only difference was, well, Jaw might be a little bit better.
A little bit, okay,
yeah. But I truly think that this team is a world beater. I think you take a core that was already really, really good and has such a great system, but with that X factor of Jagamo being able to play within that system effectively, also being able to break through that system and kind of had his own flair, I think is really, really big for them. I think having somebody who is willing to take those X factor moments also allows other players to take more X factor moments. And you see that in situations where like Leaf is clutching out of his mind. I think the 1v2 clutch on the A side on Lotus, where he snuck behind them through heaven, was incredible. And just having like the confidence and to be able to do that, if your team isn't winning as many rounds beforehand, maybe you don't even have the confidence to go for that play or necessarily. So I think it kind of adds on to one another and they stack on one another. And then the secondary aspect of it is like, we haven't gotten full comms yet, but anytime they cut to them in the comms after a round, they're laughing, they're giggling, they're vibing. I caught like a jaw lap where he's like, and then you see Trent going, it was just like, it's just really nice. And I think having,
sound like you're a part of the team.
Dude, I would love to be part of the team, bro. G2 signed me, baby. I'll co-stream for you, bro. But I truly think that they not only have upgraded in that aspect, but by diversifying what they did with some of their approaches with Taeho, with solo Yoru, I think they only have more to grow and develop, and we have not seen anywhere near their ceiling.
Yeah, I like the fact that you point out with Leaf on chamber. Other teams, I don't know, Evil Geniuses, Leviatan, maybe you should have your head clickers play a little bit more of those characters who are specialized in just clicking heads. You know, Leaf had so much value mid library just TPing out.
Yep.
Can you wall bang that like little box that he was always behind? Like, is that like not wall bangable or whatnot? I don't know why Cloud9 was always just fumbling to it, but it was a great setup. He just gets one and TPs out. It was just lovely. I liked
I
it.
think it's just a really deep angle when you swing in,
Okay,
so it's really hard to
Yeah.
clear unless you like flashbang them out.
Gotcha. Which, yeah, I guess you're just giving out strats for how teams can counter G2. I don't know who team you're really on now, but yeah, I guess this podcast is just glazing G2 until they prove us otherwise and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing, and this is one thing I said like last year because last year was when they added Leaf onto this roster, and I was like, that's such a great, like such an underrated great pickup.
Mhm.
And now it's paying dividends now
Facts.
because you have Ja who's just gonna play duelist, which is great. You have Valen who's just gonna play smokes, and you have Jonah P just playing initiator. Having Leaf being able to kind of double up on whatever they need is kind of like really great. And he frags out, he clicks heads. He's one of the key parts now with Ja in the team that is like, I feel like boosting this team to being such a machine.
You guys think solo Astra is better than solo Omen
On which map?
on Abyss?
With the buffs, yeah.
With the
Yeah,
buff?
I like Solo Astra a lot better. I think the global range is really big. I think the retake walls and like taking walls were really, really important. I think every time that Astra used a wall, there was so much value on both sides.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that was one thing that I was like noticing, because it's like if you're gonna be running double like initiator, you can't run double controller, because I feel like that's just like the Abyss like theory right now. It's just like either you run double controller or you run double initiator. And like in champs, we saw double controller be the winner for Abyss. Like the teams who ran double controller did better on Abyss, but G2 is running double initiator. I wonder if they're going to change that up on international play, because I still feel like double controller is the better pick. But if you're going to run a solar controller, I guess Astra is better than Omen for now. Yeah,
I also think Abyss hasn't necessarily been figured out yet.
that's
Even though we
that's
saw a
true.
lot
Yeah.
in champs, I don't think teams have necessarily like completely figured it out. Like
Yeah.
even at moments like DRX last year was like, oh, they're like the best Abyss team in the world, and then they just got shit on. You're like, oh wait, maybe we don't know anything about Abyss, and they're not that good
Yeah.
at Abyss. Like what happened?
Thank God that teams don't have to figure it out, because Riot's taking Abyss to the gutter.
Oh,
I hope we
they're gonna
never see Abyss
rework it.
again. Honestly, I don't want to
gonna
see Breeze. I don't want to see Icebox. I don't want to see Abyss. Get them out, or at least drastically change them before you put them in. Those are like the three horsemen of the apocalypse. If we ever have a map pull with Breeze, Icebox, and Abyss, I'm uninstalling Valorant, guys. I'm just gonna let you know now. I'm just gonna uninstall Valorant. Those will be like, it's gonna be the worst version of Valorant. Hopefully the devs will never do something that stupid, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
I just want to point out another similarity for G2, and this is probably my last point. Optic Gaming had Crashies, Victor, and FNS, and they were an incredible core that just needed a couple pieces. They picked up Marv from FaZe Clan, and it did propel them up a bit higher, but they weren't able to win with that roster. They pick up Ye. They find immediate success, makes it to the grand final, and then the next tournament they win it. Now, let me give you G2's story. They pick up a good team from challengers. They have Valent, Trent, and Jonah P. A great core that can't win it yet. They pick up Leaf. They get close to winning it, and they don't win it. And now they have Jajamo, their final piece, what I consider to be their yay. And I think that this roster has incredible potential to take it all the way to the end.
Let this man cook, bro. Script writers, hire him, man. Hire him. Yeah, I like
No,
that. Like history
actually.
repeating.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
hella cooking.
yeah.
If Ja wins another trophy, is he the GOAT?
Is he
like
the
right
GOAT?
now?
He might be up
'Cause
there.
He has the most iconic play,
Yep.
I think, in
Yeah,
Valorant.
He has some of the
Raise ult.
most.
then-
Plural.
Yeah,
He's got some of the
honestly.
most.
Yeah. And
He won the
then-
esports clip of the year for that jet play. Like, I don't know.
Because it's insane.
It is an insane
Yeah.
play.
Yeah,
And then he has already won champs, and then if he wins a Masters or something, or wins champs again with this team,
yeah, he has a case because it's like
I think he's the
it's
GOAT.
either him or ASPAS, and like I haven't seen that Platoon video yet, but apparently ASPAS is a baiter. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty
I
sure
haven't seen it
it's
yet
just
Oh, I saw
clickbait.
the I saw
That's gotta be
the
clickbait. That's
screenshot
gotta
of
Yeah,
be
it's
that.
probably
I haven't played it.
clickbait.
I
Like
listened to it.
Platoon doesn't seem like someone who will like go into like what's the word, tabloid nonsense like that and just shit talk a player
But he does
and whatnot.
clickbait.
He
Yeah,
does
he does
clickbait.
do
We all
clickbait pretty
clickbait.
well. I'll
Everyone
probably
does.
watch it later.
Yeah.
But like
My own-
Jagamo's not a baiter, bro. He goes in there. I feel like if anything,
sends
that's
it.
one of his character flaws. He just doesn't know when to stop pressing W sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm just interested to see what the different like death order is for like different duelists.
Mhm.
Honestly, like I'm assuming that Jaw either like he gets the first kill and then he keeps going, and then probably dies like third. Like he
Right.
doesn't end up. Aspas is a little different. We kind of see him a lot at end of rounds,
mhm.
and that's why I think he gets it. But like Jaw, especially with like Yoru, was just sending it.
Yeah.
He
I-
was just pushing.
I think the difference is just that like with ASPAS, like who would you rather have at the end of the round? ASPAS or one of his teammates, you know? Probably
True.
ASPAS at the end of the round. But with G2, they have that luxury is where okay, if Jagamo dies, Leaf is still there. The professor, JohnQT is still there.
Trent.
Valen has a number of clutches on as a control so it's just like G2
It's
is
a
just
stack.
stacked.
Trent
They're
has the
okay
most
with
clutches
Jog.
in VCT, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like G2 is okay with Jagamo dying. It's just I think Aspas just doesn't have that luxury. But yeah, I mean, if Jagamo wins it, I'll be more than happy to stand him. He's one of my best performing videos when I had a player spotlight on him. He's one of my favorite player. I called him a character. Yeah, player.
He's a character for
He
sure.
is a
Yeah,
character. He is a
His
character.
belly
Yeah.
laugh.
But I also
Dogamo,
think
yeah.
like an underrated aspect about him as well is that he has such a depth of agents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts.
Like he plays Raze at a near like S tier level. He plays Jet at near an S tier level. He plays Yoru at a near S tier level. Like
And he was
I would
what else
really
do you
wanna
need? He plays
see-
Neon at an S tier level.
Yeah.
Like
I really hope we get like G2 versus Leviatan and both Demon 1 and Jagamo play Jet. I feel like that'd be so cool to
That'd be
see.
fun.
Nah,
Yeah.
dude, you don't want to. Wait, we are getting it.
We are we?
Wait,
Yeah, that's the next round.
Oh, it is? Oh,
G2
yeah, it
versus
is. Yeah,
Leviatan.
hell yeah. Hell
Hey,
yeah.
I'm just gonna
Hell
tell you
yeah.
right
I'm
now.
not tired
that
at
match is
all.
not
I'm
gonna be
totally
close.
locked in.
it's gonna
My
be fun,
3
though,
games
seeing
of
them
Valorant
duel.
today did not drain me completely at all. But
It's all
yeah,
good.
that's gonna be a fun matchup. I hope we get that. Maybe. Yeah. Hopefully we get them both on Jet. I don't know because Jagamo, he did look good on Lotus with Yoru. I'm still not a Yoru believer. I feel like Jagamo is best on Raze, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just living in the past.
I think Yoru's busted. I think that champ is
Yeah.
so broken.
I think Yoru's fine where he's at. I think people are overreacting.
I don't know.
I
I feel
think
like
just, like some of the value that he gets out of it. I just think about like Zekken's play where he like TPs behind the Astro Ball and he just finishes off.
oh yeah, that's
the Thieves,
true.
right? Like you
Yoru
can't
and
do that with
Astro.
any other agent in the game.
Yeah, that is a slept on.
It kind of breaks the mold a little bit, and I think that's kind of very similar to like Tejo, right? Tejo, when you run Tejo Breach, you actually don't have that much info comparatively to like a Fade Sova. So like it changes how you approach the game, but if you have like some slight info, you see them dump all of those. All the missiles are coming.
Facts.
All right. NRG. Oh my goodness. It has not looked great. NRG walked into their match and they ran the old meta stuff. Like that was bad. Like why are you not running Tejo? Did you not watch EMEA the other day? Like 2 days before, everybody and their mothers was running Tejo over there. You didn't think that was gonna happen to you?
Yeah, I guess they found out the hard way is man, KJ's pick rate is just gonna fall. It's gonna fall off a cliff. And now we're gonna see a lot more Vice, which I think is a good trade-off. I like Vice plays and whatnot, but yeah. NRG needs to get with the program, Grandpa. Yeah.
Did Cloud9 have like a soul read on NRG and we're like, there's definitely not going to play Tejo, so we can also play KJ?
Maybe.
It's
No, I think
because-
it's just KJ. KJ was the standard
Would
from
you
back
just-
then.
would
That's
you
something that
play
Potter
Pros?
mentioned in her interview when they asked her like, "What do you thought about the map pool?" And she said, "Oh, bringing Fracture back in is really big. I think having the core of Killjoy, Breach, and Sova is a really good basis for teams to build off of." I think that was her quote. but she said that you're gonna have to make adjustments from there. But I think teams who are just building stuff, that's like a good core ground. But then that's why I also think it's very interesting that NRG picked that as their map pick with using that.
Because even like C9's pick, I wasn't, or like comp, I wasn't like a huge fan of, even though Xeppaa went off like and did insane things. I still wasn't like a huge fan of it. But NRG's just looked so wonky, so just like behind the times, so just old man like energy. It was musty.
Well, you have to remember, like FNS is the IGL, and I'm sure like that Bunker has a lot of strat talks with FNS. FNS is the old man on this team, and he's probably telling him, "Hey, no one's gonna bring in Taeho. No one's gonna run him on the first week of Americas. No one's gonna run him on the second week of Americas until we get like deep into the playoffs. People are gonna pull it out as a wild card. We saw it at the beginning of the show for Americas. They said the exact same thing, that they doubt they would see Taeho until like later on, or when some team is in danger of being eliminated. And that was not the case at all. Everyone came full swing with the Taeho.
But if
yeah,
you're
Angel.
C9,
I think the first game of Tail that we saw was like Angel.
EMEA first match.
Yeah,
Navi's Angel.
yeah.
Everyone
Angel
did.
walked so everyone else could run with Taeho.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's my IGL.
Off topic, but he did the exact thing with Gecko.
Yeah, he was one of the first Gecko users too.
He's
and
just
he
always
was
ahead of
terrible
the
at
game,
it, and
I guess,
everyone else copied him.
But
Something
yeah, I feel...
that I find interesting that kind of reminds me of is like the nerfs to Sky last year before kickoff. Everybody said that like it would change up the meta, but I think in the first games, if I remember correctly, everybody was still running Sky.
Yeah,
There's a lot of still solo Skies, even though the nerf went through, and then only later on did people start adapting to like Gecko Fade. So I guess maybe they're trying to use that as like history of like, oh, like they won't change too much because people still run the some similar things.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just coping.
Yeah, and like if you look at last year, it was the teams that were like really experimenting the most that got the benefit out of their like just doing something different. Basically, like you had Loud running freaking like they have freaking 8-7 flashes. You know, that 8-7 flash comp was amazing at the beginning of the year. Then Evil Geniuses figured them out. But like, yeah, if you embrace new stuff early on, you get rewarded for it. And I think you can even see that with NRG's first game against Cloud9. Freaking FNS was on KJ, and it did not look good. It looked horrible. The next map, he's on Vice. He looks a lot better. They still lose, but he looks completely different on Vice.
Yeah, I thought the Vice pick looked a lot better for them.
Yeah, especially when they were going against Tail, C9's Tail, freaking Xeppaa. Man, Xeppaa. It would be I kind of want to see Xeppaa and JohnQT go at it, both playing Tail. Like they just frag so hard.
Yeah. Something I want to add on to what like Jaycon said was, I remember watching the interview with Frost like a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I sound like the biggest Frost fan here, but like he said so many relevant stuff in the last like couple of weeks. It's insane. Anywho, he was talking about Taeho, and he called him a very Spanish word, pendejo. And he was saying that like a lot of teams that either didn't participate in the off season or are coming in with like some sort of like identity crisis, or not enough time to scrim, they're going to run Taeho. Why? Because it's basically like a back pocket, like, oh, F you and all your prep. And I feel like that's exactly what happened during the NRG and C9 match. And once that Taeho pick came out, like the floodgates opened for like everybody else at that point.
Well, and my whole thing was, if you're NRG, wouldn't you not think like I would have thought that out of anyone really, Cloud9 would have run Taeho because they're so funky. And that's why why didn't that's why I'd be like, why wouldn't FNS and all them like really think that was gonna happen? Like I just thought they kind of got kicked in the face. Like they could have came back, they could have won Lotus. I felt like because Verno was picking it up, like Mada was struggling still, but he's a rookie. Like if they didn't get kicked in the face so hard and then lose in overtime on Fracture, just this comp not being even close to ready, I could see where energy could definitely fix a lot of things really quickly.
Yeah, but I think it's because of the off season that gave him like incredible confidence,
And
like
hope.
moving into
Yeah.
here. And they're like, okay, we're not gonna change anything last minute. We're
Yeah.
not that type of team. Yeah.
And they just like we're
that's pretty
just
much
so
it.
much better than Cloud9. Like
Not. I don't even think it's
I don't know if
that. I
they were
don't think it's
talking
like that.
about it.
We're so much
because
better than
I felt like
Cloud9. I just think like this is what we've been doing. There's no reason for us to like run Tejo when we have not prepped for it. Um, yeah, I think that was it.
Also, slight speculation, just how Finesse has talked about the game. He values information in like mid-round information incredibly high. And when you run a Tejo, you don't have that.
Yeah.
Unless you run him with like a Fade or a Sova. But they didn't fit that into their comp. So I wonder if part of having a scan initiator as info is part of their game plan a lot, because I know he loves having like mid-round information.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like you have to remember, like despite Tejo not mainly being scan information, he still has a drone. Like you can't
Yeah, I guess it's
not
true.
run Tejo just because not all of his kit gives you information. Like it has enough. Like you got the drone, and if you really need that much info, you run a second initiator like Sova or Fade to get you that info.
Well, one thing I didn't realize, and I just was like looking back, Fracture wasn't even in the pool during their off-season run.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they
so
knew
like,
it was coming though, right?
yeah, they knew it was coming, but now to me it makes more sense why they were not prepared and why they didn't really want to change too much,
Yeah, that's
because they
fair.
didn't even play it during their
Yeah.
run. Like,
That's true.
and yeah, it's just, yeah, but then why would they pick it?
That's
I
what
don't know
I'm
why.
kind of stuck on, right? It was like their pick.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
not like
they
they did
banned
horrible.
Mist.
They went into overtime with Cloud9. But
Yeah, but
is true.
they shouldn't have even done that.
fair enough.
Like,
Yeah.
that's my whole thing.
I think if they pick any other map that they had played in the off season, I think they win that first map.
Yeah, me too.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
and
I
then I
remember
think they would've
FNS was
won
glazing
Lotus.
C9 too, so maybe they've been scrimming each other a lot, and he was like, "Yeah, C9's pretty good."
Like, they didn't play, like, they did good. Yeah,
Honestly, it
I
was just Xeppaa. Xeppaa carried Cloud9
Xeppaa
in
did.
that
just kept
victory.
pushing.
He did go sicko mode.
That was our analysis on G2 and NRG. Hopefully you join us next time when we talk about some other Americas teams, and specifically Yay and Demon One. For Zeph, this is Jaycon, Andy, and Kai. We will see you next time.